All right, hello everybody. Here we are, working on our graphic novel pro content. I'm gonna be gotta be careful what I put on screen here. Going to my Pinterest and getting some drawing reference. So right now I'm gonna be working on heads in lots of different directions. So. Yeah. So I might actually pull this off this way too. Might be better. Yeah, get it on my big screen. That might be a little bit better. There you go. Where are we at here? Okay, there we go. Now the interesting thing is I'm just drawing sort of what I see. I have in my mind the Loomis method a little bit, but this person's head shape is I'm getting some streaming issues reported here, so hopefully we can get a little bit better go of it. I'm not sure why that would be. Close out of some other things. No, we're good. Okay. Let's close out of that and quit that. See if we've got any other things I might be able to shut down to help this run faster. I don't know, I'm just trying to get a healthier live stream feed for you. Okay, so back to drawing. Hopefully that will catch up. I just had a bunch of other applications and tabs open, and I thought maybe that's making it run poorly. So I saw a very interesting, honestly, on Pinterest, idea to help draw the eyes is thinking about the mask around the eyes and how this will help that. So that's kind of interesting. I noticed by doing that the mask of the eyes, it runs just beyond this corner of the head that is drawn in the Loomis method. So that's kind of interesting to note that. It's so interesting to be doing this because I recognize that I have no idea. I see so much more information that complicates what I'm trying to draw. At this stage in my development, there's too much information. Like, I'm not able to see through what I'm trying to draw yet. I wish that I could get to a point where I could break down what I'm looking at into just simple geometry, but yeah, I'm not there yet, and it may take some classes on drawing the head to help me get there. So we'll see. We'll see how much of it becomes obvious through just drawing and observing, and how much of it needs like really truly guided practice from somebody who's already got this stuff nailed down. I would imagine I would get a lot further along working from some other people who have already been down the road, I would gather. That would probably be the best use of time. But I also think that for me personally right now, because I'm not in the habit of drawing daily with the intention of improving, that this right now is better than nothing. It's good for me at this stage to get in the habit of drawing everything. And then in my time away, when I'm not practicing, I can put more thought into what I can do to make my practices more effective. And so my nature is, well, if I'm not doing it perfect, then I need to quit. And I think as a result of that, it's easy to lose momentum. And momentum is so valuable. When you understand how much more you get done when you're enthused and you're jazzed and you're looking forward to it, that in itself is a value that's sometimes you can forget as well. You can say, well, I'm feeling excited, I want to do this thing, but I don't have A, B, C, or D, so I'll wait until I have A, B, C, or D. It's like, well, just ride the wave you got right now. You should. All of that stuff is true. You don't have A, B, C, or D. But what you do have is momentum. You do have a wave right here. Just bodyboard this wave. You don't have a surfboard. Yeah, well, that's okay. Bodyboard this one. And then when the wave's not there for you anymore, go out and get yourself a good surfboard. Maybe that analogy makes sense to somebody. Hawaii, can you hear me? All right. Let's see. Hair. And I would like to get to a point where I understand these shapes and things so well that I can just blast through the underlying structure. Because my drawing of this guy looks much different than the actual work. And what I'm focusing on is the structure. What I'm not focusing on is the skin. And if I were focusing on the skin, it would probably distort this image a lot more, but it might also better accomplish the personality, the persona, and the emotion that is coming through. So he's got a bit of a funny look on his face that looks way more peaceful here in my drawing at this point. He's got a little bit of a scowl happening. And if you were to look at my drawing and then look at the reference, you would be able to tell it's the same person, but you would not know the identity of the person unless you knew this famous person. And even if you knew the famous person, I don't think you would know what I was drawing. So, additionally, the lighting in this is pretty dramatic. There's some pretty harsh shadows on it, and I think that's a whole nother ball of wax. It gives you so much information, the contour lines, but if you don't know what to do with the information, or you don't know what it means, or you don't know where it lands, that's the place that I find myself in. And I'm learning too about shadows, like hard shadows, and like they're sharp edges and soft edges, and when it comes to facial features and expressions, my goodness, you just get so many opportunities to study not just geometry and form and materials. Even I think of the skin almost as a material, like a type of stretchy fabric in a sense. I know it's a really weird way probably to think about it, but And then you get the muscle movement that happens from all of the different muscles in the face, from the eyebrows to the corners of the mouth, and you realize that very subtle little movements in the face change how the shadows look, change how the geometry looks. There are many shifts going on with very subtle variations, and our brains have the ability to decipher very subtle cues specifically from the face, meaning we don't look for those cues in anything else, or we don't pick up. There are no cues in other things. Those cues are specific to the face, and we sort of recognize when somebody's facial expression shifts just ever so slightly, because we're constantly trying to read the meaning behind the words, and we get a lot of meaning even behind no words. Just the look that we're getting from someone tells us what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and we are designed to pick up on those cues, and it helps us know how others are feeling, helps us know how we should respond, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Probably there's some protective element in there. You want to know if someone's being honest or being a shyster. And obviously, if you're dealing with a liar, they're going to be telling you one thing and meaning something completely different, or meaning something very similar but different enough to where they can get something from you that they want. So it's always a dance, and we learn over time how important it is to pick up on small clues and cues to help us navigate this world. And all of that is in the face. All of those clues are there. Alright, I think I've pretty much worn out my welcome on that drawing. Let's keep going. The benefit of having harsh shadows that I see is you get a lot of geometry. So when the shadows hit, it almost defines a whole nother part of the face that you otherwise might just think was blank, or this person has a very unique chin and jowl, I should say, structure, and they are able to move their mouth and their cheeks in such a way that it dynamically alters the expressions that you pick up, and so that really becomes a major challenge, because there are anchor points on the face that would help me kind of stay at home, so to speak. But I don't yet understand the parts that move around and how they still remain anchored. But like for instance, the corners of the mouth are super dynamic in their ability to move. But the jaw underneath hasn't moved. Maybe a little bit, but it's like an anchor. It keeps everything in place. And then this gentleman has a mustache. So when a feller's got a mustache, it follows the top lip, but it also changes its shape. So same amount of hair, I guess, so to speak, substance, but really drastically different looking. And then also, you could change the distance of the mouth from the nose a little bit when you do this. Not a lot, but enough that it changes what you see on the face, and the tilt of the head changes what you see. So, and what's crazy to me is people know this stuff so well that they can just do it from memory. Like, they have all of that data just stored up from experience drawing, remembering the miles they've logged, so to speak. Like, for instance, I'm just working on the mask thing. I don't even know how that works yet. I'm just kind of starting there. with the idea there's a mask around the eyes, and if you draw the mask around the eyes first, it can help you place the eyes a little bit better. I hope that's true. And it's some days like today that make you wonder, why are you even getting up and doing this? It's like, golly. I think I picked a really tough photo reference to hit with, but look, man, there are always going to be days that are not enjoyable when you're learning. It's going to be like a little struggle fest, and you're going to realize that, man, it feels like a slog. It feels like there's no progress. It feels like you're not learning. The excitement is dwindling. All of what you were hoping to accomplish today is apparently not going to be realized. And sort of don't quit. Keep going. Get your hour in. If you decided, hey, today I'm going to draw for an hour, and that becomes the most difficult hour of exercise you've experienced in a while, don't quit. I have discovered in life, by living long enough, that it's often when I least feel like doing it and decide to do it that I make the most gains. So what's weird today is I actually felt like getting up and doing it, and it wasn't until I got started that I started feeling like, this ain't going great. But that's alright, man. I bit off more than I could chew, and that's good. It's alright. Or I picked a subject that just is insanely more difficult and takes a lot more time. Gosh, even this guy's ears appear to shift as he shifts his. So amazing. Like the amount of ear I see, I guess it's about the same volume. It feels like a lot more, but when I look back now at the first one, maybe I'm just more sensitive to it this go around, and I just wasn't even thinking about it last go around. But I guess because I've already drawn a picture now, I'm thinking about the volume of his ear. I'm like, oh, I don't remember it being that big, and yet it was. When I look over at the other ones, they're the exact same. So that's interesting too, is that my perception of reality is changing as well. Like, because I haven't focused on all of the parts and don't yet know how they all fit together, when I give attention to something that maybe I didn't put as much thought into on the last drawing, I automatically assume that it's not as prominent because it's prominent and I didn't pay attention to it before. It feels like I'm being introduced to it. Like it wasn't that way in the last one. That's not true. It looked exactly the same size, a little bit different, very slightly different, but the same volume. So I think that's really interesting, that my mind would tell me, oh, his ear got bigger. It's like, no, it didn't. Why would I think that? Okay, maybe because, I'm just guessing here, maybe because I've already drawn him and I think I know something. I assume that I've already studied him, or that I understand how big things are, when actually, no. Even though I drew the ear last time, I wasn't paying attention to how big it was. I was just kind of working with what I had, and that was it. Like, for instance, last time I didn't even pay attention to the neck. And that I remember not paying attention to. I did not remember not paying attention to the ear, so that's kind of weird too. Forgive me for rambling on. These are the thoughts that are rolling around in my head as I'm drawing, and I figure if you came here to grow in your knowledge and your understanding of art, sometimes it helps It definitely helps me to know what people are thinking as they're drawing. Yeah, I'm starting to understand how the shadow softens as it curls around an edge. That seems to be pretty significant aspect here. However, when there is a cast shadow, which is coming off of the nose, certainly closer to it, the shadow seems a little more harsh or bold or cut. And this guy's nose is not nearly this big, or this boxy, I should say. He has a big nose, but it's more of a that kind of shape, not so boxy. So try to improve upon that if at all possible. Gosh, there are two tonal variations just within the shadowing of the nose. You've got the nose, which has the rounded portion, then you have the cast shadow coming down this side, but right where the crease is between, and it's not even a crease, but where the nose meets the face, there's your deepest shadow. And then you have a softer shadow that still looks like it's not as soft because of the bright skin on the other side. Woo, that's a lot. That's a lot. One of the things I really like, and this is a comic book style more than an actual, not really the way it looks, but I like it when the way there is a pencil line outlining the edge of the shadow, even if in real life it doesn't look that way. And I don't know why that appeals to me so much, but it has to be subtle. Like, I had it for a second right here, and then I overdid it. It's like a very light acknowledgement defining line of the edge of that shadow. I love that look, which I think is important, because one of the things that we're talking about in the starter kit for SVS is, at my stage of development, I need to be thinking about developing my style. So I've learned some things, I understand some things, I've got some tools in the toolkit, so to speak, but I have not yet I don't want to use the word it's coming to mind, but congealed. My style hasn't congealed or solidified yet. But there are from time to time these elements that really just sing to me, and I'll see it in other people's artwork, and then I'll put it down on a page, and it just like, yes, I love that aesthetic. I want that to become a part of my character design. So that's kind of exciting to be having those realizations and those thoughts as I'm drawing. Can't remember which artist taught me about hair, and the idea that if you think about it in terms of like a whole piece of fabric and draw the directional lines of that fabric, so to speak, you're going to be a lot closer than if you just think, well, there's a lot of hairs sitting there, or maybe even more, which is what I'm still I feel like I am at the stage of development where it can look like a helmet, like I just put a box on top of the head, because I think about it as a geometric structure first, and then that geometric structure it doesn't have hair wrapped around it. It is formed by the hair, and so that changes the way we perceive it. So I have to learn how to not draw the texture on top of the geometry. I have to learn to use the texture to create the geometry, and that, my friends, that's another one that's it's good. That would be a cool practice, like to figure out how do you do a practice session of that. How do you... Now, there are certain artists, like there's an artist, and I don't know, I should learn how to pronounce his name, but it's Travis Charest or Charest. It's probably Charest. I don't know. But his work, oh my goodness, he does Space Girl, and I think he's done Wildcats. He does covers more than actual interior art. Man, that dude has got a style that sings to me. I'm just like, whew, it's just so great how he blends that a comic book style with. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actively try to speed up and move forward. So I'm going to try and, by any means necessary, speed up the process and see what happens. It might be dangerous, and I might not get anything worth looking at, but I'll try to be a little bit more expressive in what I capture and see if that produces a better result for me. Good thing again about harsh light is it gives you a lot more angles to consider. The light defines, or I don't know if it defines the shape, if that's the right way to think about it, but the light definitely exposes the shapes that are there. That's kind of interesting to think about, which is a more accurate way to think about that. Does light actually define that shape, or is it revealing the shape that it exists? Because I mean, the person is still there. For instance, their facial features don't change when the lights turn off. Although that would be a really creepy movie to explore, creepy horror movie idea to explore. It's just, yeah. So it seems like light actually exposes what's already there. It does not define it, which is also very interesting, just in general. Not even as it relates to drawing, although that's certainly what I'm concerned with right now. Just really interesting stuff to me. So this feels a little bit more dependent on the photo reference, and I think that's the danger. Meaning if the photo reference were not here, because I'm only focusing on kind of the details and not thinking about the structure underneath, I think that's the danger for an illustrator. If you get in the habit of doing that, then you will always be dependent on photo reference. You will always feel like you need something to look at in order to accomplish a drawing. But if you can figure out what the geometry, the underlying structures are underneath the face, and you know how to rotate them, you understand, like for instance, how skin reacts when it gets pulled by the jawline, I think that is the more valuable long-term strategy, and why so many people, so many professional artists go through the process of learning the geometry or the anatomy. Because it's one thing to be able to replicate what you see, it's another thing to be able to create just from your imagination all the different poses you could ever possibly want, because you understand the underlying structure, you understand how to rotate it, you understand how to change the perspective. and perspective is certainly affected by where the viewer is, but then what they're viewing will constantly be moving and changing as well. And so both things come into play, both where the viewer is and what the object that's being viewed is doing. So you've got two different things happening. And I'll be honest, as I'm getting my teaching licensure, I am learning so much just about art in general. I learned that the gaze is a part of art study, which is interesting in what they're talking about. I think preliminarily, it doesn't seem to have a particularly positive connotation, but maybe it does. But it's things that grip the attention and cause people to gaze, like to look at it, like so it can be beauty, of course, but then it can be other things as well. But just the idea of the gaze not being good or bad, being impartial, and sort of what that creates. So weird, because it's not intended by the artist to be created, but it does create perceptions about the work. So that's really a weird concept that I'm being introduced to right now. And to be completely honest, I was very resistant when I was listening to it, because I'm like, what are we even talking about here? The gaze. What does the gaze have to do with anything? It sounds like ridiculous. It doesn't have anything to do with the artistic process. I think what it's saying is when an artist becomes aware of that element, they then have more ability in what they're communicating with their artwork, because they understand better how an audience will respond to it. And that's really interesting. And something I've never thought about before. Like, I just thought, well, if this looks good and I put it out there, then people will probably like it because it looks good. But that's not the goal of every artist, and certainly not artists who have something to say. They want to grab people's attention. They want to get the gaze. They want to get people to look at it. Sorry for the double meaning on what I just said. That sounded funny, but they want people to be viewing their artwork. They want to be looking. They want to have people looking at their artwork. And if they understand the elements that make people look, it doesn't have to always be beauty. Certainly that's the part that I'm keyed into, typically. Although I'm learning, artists who understand what grabs people's attention are not always just trying to make pretty things. So, which also comes to another thing, because I think you start to get into the world of propaganda very quickly when you're using art to send these messages. I think everybody does that, but it begins to get manipulative at some point. Instead of just telling a story, which can have a message for people to wrestle with or discern or enjoy or whatever it might be. I think when you get to the level that you are manipulating because you understand what people think and you're trying to determine how they think, I think you're starting to try and manipulate them, and there's part of that feels very dishonest to me, and I've never spent time thinking about it before, but now through my education, obviously I'm being called to, so it's quite interesting to be sorting through some of these things right now that I've never really had to ever think about before. I just was blind to them. There's this saying that ignorance is bliss. Certainly if you jump into the world of education, there is a reality to that, because you certainly have this desire to go back to the old times when you're being stretched. Kind of like the Israelites being pulled out of Egypt. They're leaving one place, and that's by and large a good thing, for sure. But there comes a time where you long for the familiar. Even if it wasn't a great familiar, at least it was familiar. The unknown feels so daunting and difficult and hard that you even consider going back to your old old paths and your old ways, which is one of the things that I'm striving to face more and more as I get older. I don't want to stay the same. I don't want to stop learning. I want to keep going. I want to keep growing, and I want to be useful. I want to have purpose in this life. And God gave me a gift to be able to draw and to perceive, and I hope that in some way using my gifts will honor and glorify Him, and bring Him joy. Certainly He has done everything in my life to bring me joy, to take care of every single need I could even imagine. And He has loved me beyond my ability to comprehend love. He has walked with me through my mess and the mistakes that I've made in life, and the people that I've hurt, and the foolishness that I have been a part of, and always sought to win my heart, always sought to teach me and help me, to comfort me in my hurts and my pains, even when they're self-inflicted. Has disciplined me unlike any level of discipline I've ever endured before. The Bible says, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and my goodness, He is doing that to save us, not because He delights in punishment. He certainly does not, but guaranteed, if you're being disciplined by God, it is for your good, and it is not pleasant. That is that for me, honestly, I think challenged my faith more than any other thing I've gone through, was being disciplined by God. And that came in the form of a lost relationship, but it really exposed how much I expected life to bow to my whims and fancies and what I wanted, and that's not it. That's not it. Life is a gift, and a gift is given to you, and certainly you have the freedom to do with the gift you've been given anything you want to. But if you use your gift in a way that hurts other people and does not honor that gift, my goodness, there is a headbutting with the Lord coming. So, it's just not because He's proud or anything, but just because it goes against the natural order of how things have been created. It's like you don't get away treating people horribly for your own benefit for long. If you are a selfish dog and you are cognizant of the Lord, He will help you out of your foolishness. So interesting shapes happening here. I love what's happening with the eye right here. So interesting. I saw this other thing on Pinterest that an artist had put up, but it was basically talking about how with the face, when you're viewing the face, you can actually be viewing it from multiple angles at the same time. Meaning, like if you're right at eye level, you might be looking at the eyes at eye level, but then anything below that is going to start to naturally curve down, and anything above that is going to kind of curve up. And I never realized how dramatic that perception affects the features of the face. Meaning, like, the closer that you are to a person, the more that happens. So when you're drawing these close face-ups, the distortion of perspective, meaning the eye level line or the horizon line, is so much greater than if you're looking at a person from a distance. So if you're looking at a person from a distance, everything sort of kind of condenses into their face like this. But as you get closer and closer, and those features get more closer to your features, now when you're looking at them, you might be looking up a little bit to see their eyebrows, you might be looking down a little bit to see their mouth, and so you've got that little bit of perspective changes the way that you view the face. It basically opens up a whole new way of drawing accurately, to draw that accurately, to capture that accurately. And certainly if you're drawing comics, which is what I guess the goal through these exercises is get to a place where I understand those features a lot better. That's important to understand, especially if you're trying to recreate some of these things from your memory. And that's a new thing also that I'm learning. So it's kind of funny because people can only learn so much at a time. Learning that as I'm learning about teaching, you can learn maybe like 3 new concepts in a moment. As you start to get more than 3 new concepts introduced to you, like in a sitting, it becomes very difficult for the brain to cognitively maintain its grip on the content that's being taught. In fact, oftentimes if you're overloading the brain, it just tunes out. And this is what I think happens sometimes in class with me. When I'm teaching, I get so excited about the content. I'm pouring all of my energy into teaching, and I'm so excited to teach my students what we have to learn. And then I look at the lesson plan and I look at all the things that I'm trying to cover in the lesson plan and go, my goodness, chill out. This, if it were all new information, would be absolutely overwhelming to me. I can only imagine what my students are feeling. So I'm really learning to dial back the amount of new information and value repetition a lot more. Meaning it does the mind will not recall, will not be able to encode information without being able to recall it. And so you have to build in time into your lessons or into the structure of your class for students to be able to recall new information that they've gathered. So you only get a limited number of things you can introduce, and then beyond introducing them, you have to give them ample time to recall that information. If they never recall it, if they never are asked to repeat, and this is more than repetition, this goes into just anything. It could be athletics, right? You teach somebody how to shoot a free throw, but you never give them a chance to practice it. That would be ridiculous, right? But we can still do it. And I coach basketball as well, so you can do it as a coach. You can give them more information than they're ready. And the best coaches, if you watch them, they have a plan for how they're going to release the information that they're giving to their players. So if they've got a complex offensive play, they don't just tell them the whole play, right? And they don't just do random drills. They do drills that are actually working on core fundamental skills that are going to come together in a play that they haven't even introduced yet. So a great coach, the players just are able to trust that he's taking them somewhere or she's taking them somewhere because they understand that cognitive ability is has its limits. You can't just pour information, and the coaches put it into these bite-sized chunks that are easy, first of all, to comprehend, and then they're easy to replicate, meaning to repeat or to recall. And you have to do that multiple times. You can't just recall it one time and go, oh, they recalled it, they must understand it. And I think that's the other thing that is happening a lot in education. We think memorization is understanding, and it's not. We think that because somebody recalled something one time, they understand it. They don't. It's just so important, the information I'm learning right now. And I've been a teacher for 15 years. I have some classroom management skills. I have some exciting content that the kids are excited about. But there's so much more to it than just having good, fun content and good, important information to share and good classroom management skills. And there's so much more to teaching. And that's what I'm going through right now. That's what I'm learning right now. Okay, my wife and I have to go take her car into the shop. So I've put in about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure. But I'm going to have to put a pause on this for now. But this was a great activity, great exercise. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm putting in some effort, and I'm excited about that. Remember, anytime you do a sketch page, you want to sign it and put your date on there as documentation. Now, this page is not done, but I still want to date it, because if I don't come back to it, I will forget. Hopefully I'll come back to it today, although I've got client work I need to do. There's a lot of other stuff cooking right now, but I just want to carve away a little bit of time each day to make sure that I'm getting some practice in, preparing for January 22nd's class, Graphic Novel Pro. Super excited about that, and excited to share what I can about that journey with you all. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and yeah, see you soon.